What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. As we prepare for our next big journey, we're taking the opportunity to identify the best exotics that you'll need to have for the final shape. There's about to be a lot of changes happening in Destiny. New supers, new exotics, and tons of sandbox adjustments that will see several current exotics getting either nerfed or buffed. So the exotics and builds that you're used to using may not serve you as well when the final shape gets here. So today we're going to be checking out the top 7 best Warlock exotics that will absolutely dominate in this new era. We don't know what the new artifact mods will be during the final shape, so we're obviously not taking those into consideration, but it's safe to say that they'll be much like the prismatic subclasses, offering different benefits to a wide array of energies and abilities. So for now, we start off our list with the lucky number 7, the Mantle of Battle Harmony, an exotic that's about to see some pretty significant improvements to its overall performance. This chest piece is perfect for those who love a lot of heavy gunplay, as this exotic grants the Absorption Cell's intrinsic trait, which provides you with a bonus in super energy that ranges between 1.5% and 4.5%, based on the difficulty level of each enemy defeated. There's no longer a cooldown between its activation, and once super energy has been filled, you'll then gain a 25% damage bonus to any weapon that matches your subclass. When used with a prismatic subclass, its damage bonus will be based on what super choice you're going with. This exotic is great to use with any subclass, as you'll be able to easily account for any activity surges. And with the increase to the regeneration rate of super energy, you'll be able to get that bonus weapon damage even faster, making this a very viable option in a lot of in-game content. Next up at number 6 is the Ballador's Wrathweavers, and these are getting one of the best upgrades that might finally see this exotic getting used. Activating your Rift when Frost Pulse is in use will grant you and all nearby allies with a maximum level of Frost Armor. This new Frost Armor should prove to be much more effective than the current Stasis Overshields. It will last 9 seconds, providing a stacking bonus towards damage reduction. Each stack grants a 4.5% reduction to any incoming damage, with a maximum of 8 stacks, giving you an overall increase of 36% damage reduction to any incoming damage. This effect can also be increased to 13 seconds with the use of the Whisper of Rhyme. This is a great utility bonus, but Ballador's also provides a few other benefits. When you cast your Frost Pulse Rift, you and all nearby allies will gain a 17% bonus to the damage of any stasis weapon. This does put the Ballador's into a really good position when stasis weapons and energies are getting surged. Another interesting benefit that the Ballador's provides is that when you cast your stasis super, the Shockwave ability has increased damage, and any nearby ally who's hit by that Shockwave will receive a 25% bonus to the damage of any stasis weapons, along with a maximum stack of Frost Armor. It certainly encourages your teammates to utilize stasis, but even if they're not, the Frost Armor will be a great source of bonus survivability. And now we move on to the Apotheosis Veil, and this exotic saw a complete rework to its functionality at the beginning of Season of the Wish. This exotic helmet comes with the Insatiable intrinsic trait, so when you cast your super, you get your health and abilities instantly refilled. This also grants a ×3 cure to nearby allies, and when your super is up, you get a 66% bonus to the regeneration rates of your grenade and melee abilities, lasting 8 total seconds. This is great for a player who loves to spam abilities, and because it is an agnostic exotic, it will work with any subclass, but I found it to be the most effective with Strand and Void subclasses, since they're the most attuned to ability spamming. But I'm sure it will also prove to be very beneficial when it comes to prismatic subclasses. Next up at the number 4 spot, we take a look at the Cenotaph Mask, an exotic that's in desperate need of a new ornament. This exotic is getting a nerf in the final shape, removing the ability to have one target marked by multiple cenotaph users. This is a pretty big blow towards endgame activities, like master dungeons and raids, where ammo economy is the most difficult to maintain. But it's not detrimental enough to take this exotic off the list. It's still going to be an extremely effective exotic to use when in team activities, especially those with overcharged trace rifles. The Divinity is also getting nerfed, and since these two have become quite a pair, it's to be expected that if the Divinity nerf is as bad as it looks, the Cenotaph might not get used as much either. But there's still several other top tier legendary and exotic trace rifles that can be used in many other situations that would still make this an extremely viable option. Up next, breaking into the top 3, we have the Swarmers. This Lightfall exotic practically wrote the book on how to be a Broodweaver, and now it finds itself in an interesting position as it can be used with the Prismatic subclass. This exotic causes tangles to generate 2 threadlings, and any of those little green bastards that you summon will apply an unraveling debuff against any target they strike, causing additional damage over time. Since Weavers Call, Threadling Grenades, Arcane Needles, and Needle Storm can all be used under the Prismatic subclass, the Swarmers could prove to be just as effective on a Prismatic build, if not more so than it can be on a Strand. With Facet of Balance, you could quickly recharge those Threadling Grenades, and with Feast of Dawn, each of those Arcane Needles will grant you with a 20% bonus in weapon damage. And there's several other fragments that would easily slide into a Prismatic build featuring the Swarmers. And now we have the Osmiumonte, the creme de la creme of stasis exotics. And we find it in a similar position that the Swarmers are in. The Osmiumonte does have its essence dedicated towards a Prismatic class item slot, but it could still be used on a Prismatic build, just as easily as it could remain on a stasis build. And it's honestly looking like it's going to be much more beneficial with a Prismatic build, since we'll have the added bonuses of the new fragments, and a combination of other energies. We'll still get all the same old luxuries of running Bleak Watchers right along with rapidly recharging Cold Snap Grenades. Plus we can easily integrate any of the other melee, super, and class abilities that are offered with the Prismatic subclass, giving this exotic a whole new level of viability. And now we transition to our final exotic, the best, most powerful Warlock exotic that you can use in the final shape. And I'm sure this might come to a surprise to those who love the Sunbracers, but the number 1 exotic is now the Necrotic Grips. The Sunbracers are getting a pretty detrimental nerf, enough so that it removes them from this list entirely, but the Necrotic Grips remains unscathed. Another agnostic exotic that amplifies every single Warlock build through its ability to create poison that inflicts enemies with ongoing damage that can be easily spread to other nearby enemies. It has worked great with every single light and dark based subclass, and there's no doubt that it's going to work out great with Prismatic. I mean, hell, it's even gotten its essence dedicated towards a Prismatic exotic class item slot. The combination of the Necrotic Grips and the Broodweaver subclass has been one of the strongest in terms of DPS, and since that continues to be an option with Prismatic, the Necrotics could very well be the most reliable exotic option that Warlocks have, especially when it comes to the new raid. Now, before we tie things off with a bow, I do want to bring attention to one exotic that was not included on today's list, the Mataiodoxia. This exotic is coming out with the final shape, and it causes Arcane Needles to trigger suspensions. This could prove to be extremely effective towards crowd control on both Strand and Prismatic builds, so it's definitely an exotic to be on the lookout for. And with that said, we've now come to an end of our list of the top 7 best Warlock exotics that you should be using on day 1 of the final shape. As I've mentioned already, there's a new artifact, new weapons, and new exotics that are all coming out with the final shape, and will likely see some continuing fluctuation throughout the meta as we dip into these new episodes. So I will be doing a follow-up on those changes, but for now, These are going to be the most effective exotics for Warlocks to use in those early days of the final shape. And with that said, I wish you all the best of luck out there throughout this new expansion and this new journey. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all the exotic changes that are going down and what your favorite Warlock exotic is. Let us know down in the comments. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit the like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran just looking for a new home, then be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.